Hi guys, Dr. Erin Kinney here. Thank you guys for joining me. Today we're going to be talking about ways to help you feel less bloated during the holiday season. I talk to so many patients that usually they'll come in January and they'll say December was really rough. You know, I feel like I gained 5 or 10 pounds. I constantly felt bloated. My bowel movements were off. Just things were not right. So we're going to talk about some ways to kind of prevent that. I know we're kind of halfway through the holiday season, but we got the big week coming up between Christmas and New Year's, and you know, there's a lot of holiday parties. There's a lot of stress. There's a lot of things to do, people to see, family to see, and this can create kind of an environment in your body that can lead to some imbalances in the gut. So we're going to talk today about how to you know, rebalance those things. And so first we're going to talk about some of the diet things that you can do. We're going to talk about some specific supplements that can kind of help you get through this period, and then I'm going to talk about some specific herbs that you can use to help with digestion and help lower that bloating. So, you know, diet is obviously the biggest one, and most people during the holidays are eating foods that are not normally in their diet. We're eating a lot of sugar, we're drinking eggnog, we're drinking more alcohol, we have a lot of parties, and you know, the new patients that I have in January or in December, it tends to be a little tricky because I'm like, oh yeah, let's make some diet changes. And oftentimes I say, this is a hard time to make diet changes if you're not used to, you know, avoiding sugar or avoiding gluten or avoiding dairy. This is one of the hardest times to do it. If you're someone who already has made some changes to your diet, it doesn't make it any less hard during this time, but I'm going to talk about some ways that can help it be a little bit easier. So one of the biggest things that I see that kind of can set you up for a bad time at a party. Or so oftentimes during the holidays you're stressed. If you work or if you don't, you know, you're running around all day, maybe shopping, trying to get all these last minute things done before Christmas, before a party or whatever you have going on. And oftentimes patients will tell me they forget to eat. Oh yeah, I forgot to eat breakfast. Oh, I didn't really eat lunch. I really haven't had much to eat. And then you show up to a party, you are starving. So whatever the first thing comes your way, you're like, I'm gonna eat. I'm gonna eat whatever this is. I don't care what it is. I don't care that it's got gluten and sugar and dairy. I'm just gonna eat it. And then you'll have a glass or two of alcohol, and then you're gonna eat even more. So the most important thing you can do during the holiday season is to eat breakfast and to eat lunch and even eat a snack before you go to a holiday event. So if you've got a party, a dinner party, or if you're going out with friends, you know, try to eat something healthy before. I usually recommend trying to eat some protein right before you go, because then you're going to arrive at the party, you're not going to be hungry. You can spend more time focusing on talking to your friends and your family and who you're there to see, instead of, you know, for the first 20 minutes being like, I'm not going to eat the cookies, I'm not going to eat the cookies. And then after 20 minutes, you're so hungry, you're like, oh crap, I'm just going to eat the cookies. So if you go into the party, you know, not hungry, you're going to set yourself up to be a little bit better off. So the second thing diet-wise is to drink water. A lot of times during the holidays, especially when it's cold, I don't know about any of you guys, but I find as it starts to get colder, I'm not as thirsty. You know, most times in the summer, you actually feel thirsty, you're sweating, you think, oh, I need to drink water. In the winter, you get a little cold, you maybe aren't drinking as much water, and that when you're not drinking water, it's going to set you up for, when you're dehydrated, your body can sometimes trigger you to think that you're hungry, and it can cause different cravings. So you might be craving, you show up to that holiday party again, maybe you haven't eaten lunch, you haven't eaten breakfast, and maybe you're dehydrated, you're going to eat whatever's in sight. So make sure to drink plenty of water. When it comes to drinking water, the most important thing is to drink about half your body weight in ounces. So if you weigh 150 pounds, you should drink about 75 ounces of water a day. If you're exercising or you're sweating a lot, you should add 8 to 16 fluid ounces on top of that. I often counsel patients on adding in some sort of form of electrolyte. If you've watched my other videos, you may have heard me talk about this before, but if you're sweating and you're losing a lot of salt or magnesium or all of these electrolytes, water's not always going to add those back in. So you can try drinking coconut water if you like that. A little bit of juice every now and then is okay. You can drink, I like these little electrolyte tablets. Sorry, these are backwards, but they're called Nuun, N-U-U-N. These guys have magnesium, sodium, calcium, potassium, and they're sweetened with stevia, so there's no sugar in them. You just drop a little tablet into the water and you can drink those. It also has a flavor, so if you're someone that doesn't really like water that much, this can kind of make you want to drink stuff a little bit more. Any of my patients know that I drink them all day long. I usually put them in an old kombucha bottle with some water, and it's great. It adds a little flavor, and it makes me keep drinking throughout the day. And then I touched on this a little bit, but you know, the major foods that cause bloating and can cause some of the weight gain, Meg, I'll answer your question in a second, are wheat and dairy. And if you've seen me as a patient, you know, we talk a lot about that. And wheat and dairy both can contribute to a lot of bloating. It can contribute to you feeling like you've gained 5 or 10 pounds. And I often hear patients tell me, when they cut those two things out, that they instantly dropped 5 to 7 pounds within a week. They're like, oh, it's great, I feel so much lighter. And sometimes it's literally because those foods can contribute to constipation. So that 5 to 10 pounds that you're feeling around your abdomen, it's not actually fat or weight gain, it's actually just stool that's backed up in there. So this is a pretty common thing that I see. Like I said, the holidays, it's a tricky time if you haven't tried cutting those foods out, I wouldn't really recommend starting now. You could try to cut back. January is always a great time to start a new food plan or a new diet, but that can make a really big difference for cutting back on bloating. So Meg just asked where you can get the Noon tablets. So you can get them at Whole Foods. A lot of I think GNC carries them. You can order them on Amazon. They make a whole bunch of different flavors. Be careful when you're looking for them. Some of them contain caffeine, so if you're someone who doesn't do well with caffeine, stay away from those. And they make some that have a multivitamin in there. They're okay. They don't use the best forms of the B vitamins, so I usually recommend the ones that just say hydration, because they just contain the potassium, the sodium, the things that are going to replenish your electrolytes. So back to the diet thing. I think that, like I was saying, gluten, dairy, and sugar is another big one. And sugar is one of the big reasons during the holidays that oftentimes I see a lot of my patients will tell me they were feeling bloated and out of whack. They're not used to eating a lot of sugar. Maybe they're still able to stay away from gluten and eat minimal amounts of dairy, but they're like, oh, there's candy, there's chocolate. I've just been eating more of that. And when you eat more sugar, the pH in your digestive tract is going to change. So different flora, different bacteria are going to thrive when there's a different pH. And when there's more sugar available, you're more likely to have an overgrowth of yeast or other bacteria that are not normally there. And that can contribute to that feeling of just, like bloated, and you feel sluggish and you don't feel good. So the sugar can be a big component there. I mean, I'm not going to tell you all to go completely sugar-free. Enjoy the holidays, have a little bit of sugar, but you might want to think about adding in some good guy flora, for example, like a probiotic, or eating more fermented food. So if you know you're going to a party and it's a friend of yours who makes amazing cookies or candy or whatever it is that's sweet, try taking a probiotic before. And so my thoughts on probiotics, the field of bacteria is really changing, and we're learning new things every day about what the good strains are, what the good strains for you are. My thought process on it is that we are supposed to get our good guy bacteria from our food. The American diet is pretty lacking in fermented food, so things like kimchi or sauerkraut or kombucha tea or anything that has been fermented is going to contain good flora, and that's flora that will get into our body and will help us do some of the digestion. It'll help. They create the food that feeds the cells that line our intestinal tract, so they keep our intestinal tract really healthy. And they do so many beneficial things for us. And when that flora gets out of balance, it can cause a lot of different problems. So back to what I was saying before, my thought on probiotics is that you should get them from your food. When you get them from your food, you get a variety of different ones. So if you're going to buy a supplement, just rotate them. Typically the better ones are the ones that are in the refrigerated section. And you can try one for a month, see how you do on it, and then rotate to a different one. I have some patients that tell me they find one and they feel awesome on it. But the most important thing is to get a variety of different bugs. And if you don't already do so, try adding in some fermented foods. If you're someone who likes to do it yourself and make things at home, get online and look up recipes on how to ferment things yourself. It can be pretty easy. If you're someone who's not into that at all, I totally get it. Go out to a health food store and pick up some sauerkraut and try adding it in. It's sometimes the flavors can be really great, and if you have that a couple times a week, that's going to give you way more benefit than taking a probiotic supplement. So since this talk is about how to do this during the holidays, a probiotic supplement is great during the holidays. Add it in, take it daily for this month of January. And so that's the first supplement we're going to talk about. The second supplement I want to talk about is a digestive enzyme. So this can make such a big difference, specifically during this month where your diet might not be what it normally is. So digestive enzymes are normally secreted by the pancreas. Well, first your stomach is going to make something called hydrochloric acid, and that's what keeps your stomach nice and acidic. That's what helps break down protein. So if you go eat a piece of steak, the majority of the steak is going to get broken down in your stomach by the hydrochloric acid that your stomach secretes. Then those smaller pieces of the steak are going to go into your small intestine, and that's where nutrients actually get absorbed. Your pancreas is going to kick out enzymes like amylase, lipase, pancreatin, and these are things that help. Some of them help digest proteins, some of them digest fat, some of them carbohydrates. And so when you're under a lot of stress, the hormones that tell the digestive tract to start making these digestive enzymes don't really work. They kind of get turned off. So I'm going to back up for a minute and talk about what happens when you're under a lot of stress physiologically. When you're in fight or flight mode, which is when the sympathetic nervous system takes over, and which is what happens when you're under stress, all of the blood is going to go to your extremities, to your arms and your legs, because your body's getting ready to run or to fight. So all of the blood flow is going to leave the digestive tract and the digestive organs, meaning that the body's not focusing any attention there. So it's like digestion isn't happening right now. We need to run and fight from this bear. Now, in today's world, we're not running from a bear. We're stressed because we've got to get to 3 different places before the stores close and get all the presents. And but your body still responds in a similar way. You go into fight or flight mode, meaning your digestion turns off. And when digestion turns off, we're not creating digestive enzymes. So if we go back to that example that I was talking about earlier, where if you skip breakfast and you skip lunch, and then you've had a really stressful day and you've been running around, and you get to that party and you're starving because you haven't been eating, you put that food in. Well, not only are you probably making the wrong food choices because you're so hungry, but your body's also not ready to receive food. So when you eat something and you don't have the hydrochloric acid in your stomach, or you don't have the pancreatic enzymes floating around there to digest things, the molecules in your stomach, the food molecules aren't going to get broken down. So when they get into your small intestine, they're still going to be large, meaning that they can't get absorbed, and they're going to interact negatively with that bacteria. So when you don't digest things properly from the level of the stomach, it will definitely contribute to bloating. And it also contributes to malabsorption, because if you have those large molecules there in the small intestine, the body can't absorb them, so you're not going to be getting the nutrients from your food. So this can lead to feeling tired and feeling hungry later. You think, oh my gosh, I ate this huge meal, and the next day you're like, I'm starving. How am I starving? I ate so much. But you're starving because you actually didn't absorb what you put into your body. So my husband always jokes that I should write a book called "You Are Not What You Eat," or it's not what you eat, it's what you absorb, because it's that old saying, you are what you eat. Well, that's sort of true, but if you're not absorbing what you eat, then you're not getting any of the, you can eat broccoli and salads and all of these good healthy foods, but if you don't actually get them into your bloodstream through that intestinal lining, you're not going to get the benefits from it. And so, like I said, if you're not absorbing that food and they're in large molecules, it's going to cause bloating, and it's going to affect those bacteria. So we kind of, the holidays, we kind of get thrown, we get like hit in multiple ways. We've got the stress piece, and then if we're not eating, we've got the hunger piece, so we're making the wrong food choices, and we're also, putting food into our body where it's not ready to accept it. So taking a digestive enzyme before you eat a meal during the holidays it will help your body secrete the hydrochloric acid in your stomach and secrete those different pancreatic enzymes. So when you do eat food, even if you still are a little bit stressed, it will help your body break down the food a little bit better. We're going to talk in a little bit about some stress management techniques, which are way more important than any supplement. But during the holidays, and if you're someone who's just generally lives a stressful lifestyle, a digestive enzyme can make a world of difference if you're someone who deals with bloating and chronic GI issues. So you want to look for, when you're looking for a digestive enzyme, first thing, when you're looking for any supplement, you want to first look at the other ingredient list. If you've watched my videos, I talk about this a lot. So that's not the actual ingredients of the supplement, that's the fillers or what else is in that supplement. You want to look for something that has very few other ingredients. I really like supplements that are in a capsule form. They usually just have vegetable capsule, and that's it. Some of them are going to have some other additives. You want to look for something that has less than 5 additives. If there's something in there that you don't know what it is, or you haven't seen it since high school chemistry, you want to not pick up that supplement. There are a lot of companies that are on the cheaper end tend to use a lot of fillers, and they'll use a lot of dyes. If you see yellow dye number 5, or if it's in a tablet form, there's some cases when tablets are okay, but for the majority of the time, those tablet forms, there are usually a ton of really bad fillers in there. Your body's not going to absorb, so you're going to be wasting your money. So look for a capsule. And then for a digestive enzyme, unless you have a stomach ulcer, I recommend that you find one that has hydrochloric acid in it, which seems a little strange, especially if you're someone who occasionally gets heartburn. But the more acid we have in your stomach, the better job your stomach will do at digesting food. And the acid level of your stomach, or the pH of your stomach, actually controls that sphincter that sits on top of your stomach that keeps the acid in there. So when the acid level goes up, or the pH goes up above a 2, that sphincter can relax a lot easier, making it a lot easier for the acid to come up. So oftentimes if you're someone that over the holidays you tend to get a little bit more heartburn, or maybe you don't normally have heartburn but the holidays give it to you, it's a combo of stress and usually low stomach acid. So look for one that has a little bit of HCl. It usually is called betaine HCl. And then you want to look for one that has amylase, lipase. There will be several different proteases. Sometimes they use plant enzymes like papain or bromelain. Papain is from pineapple, and papain is from papaya, and bromelain is from pineapple. Those are also wonderful enzymes. Eating papaya and eating pineapple are also great tools for aiding in digestion. So look for a digestive enzyme, and you usually will take 1 or 2 capsules 15 minutes prior to a meal. And if you're eating a big snack, you can also take one prior to a snack. But they can really help, especially if you're sitting down to a big meal, like a Christmas dinner or a Thanksgiving, take the digestive enzymes before that meal, and it'll help things move through a little bit better. So those are the 2 supplements that I really recommend are really important throughout the holidays to kind of keep things moving and keep the bloating down. So a probiotic and a digestive enzyme. Digestive enzymes are sold all over the place. So like I said, if you follow my guidelines for looking for a good one, if you have specific questions about a product or you want to talk, you can email us at info@kincare.com. We'd be happy to send you the one that we usually recommend. Or if you want to chat with me, I offer free 15-minute consults, so you can call and we can talk about what would be right for you. So I talked a little bit about the fight or flight piece, and how when we're under stress, we're turning off digestion. And for the majority of people, the holidays are stressful. Even when they're wonderful, even when you have a great family and you're seeing lots of friends, it's just there's a lot to do in this one month. And usually it's a lot of parties and a lot of activities, and it's during a time. It's during winter, it's the darkest days. It's during a time when we naturally have this inclination, I know I do, to kind of hibernate a little bit. So our bodies are not really that into all this activity. So we're kind of often, some patients tell me that they're kind of forcing themselves to go to these parties and they don't really feel like it. Once they get there, they have a great time. But so the big thing that I recommend during the holidays and all the time is some sort of breathing practice. So the simplest way to do this is to put one hand on your belly and one hand on your chest, and you take a deep breath. Now, when I ask patients to do this in the office, I'll watch them, and I oftentimes, will see that the hand, I'm going to exaggerate a little bit, the hand up top is moving. So they're breathing up here out of their chest. Their belly is not moving at all. When you're breathing up here, you're breathing almost in fight or flight breath, right? You're shallow breathing like you would be if you were running, or you're not getting oxygen into that. I mean, you are, but you're not getting deep oxygen into your belly. So if you put your hands back there and you try to take a deep breath, and try to only have your bottom hand move. If you're not used to doing this, it can sometimes be difficult. I've had some patients where we've spent 15 minutes in the office and they cannot get their bottom hand to move. So you almost have to say, I'm gonna pretend like I'm pregnant. I'm just gonna let my stomach pooch out. And it's an unnatural feeling for most of us because, most of us are always sucking our stomach in and sticking our chest out so that we look thin. And women especially, we're always sucking things in and sticking our chest out. So if you can do this breathing where you try to focus on getting your bottom hand, your belly, to expand and with the breath, this gets oxygen and it gets blood flow right into your digestive tract. So if you're feeling stressed or you're feeling overwhelmed, you can stop. And the nice thing about this is it's free. You can do it anywhere. You can do it all the time. And you just take, 4 or 5 really deep breaths. You can close your eyes and you can do this right now. Deep breath and let it out. If you're someone that already has this in your practice, that's awesome. Try to do it more. I will sometimes counsel patients on doing this right before they eat a meal. Or right before you enter a party, or right before, if you've been running around and you've been in fight or flight mode all day long, before you eat, it's really important to calm the body down. So they've done studies that show that 5 to 10 deep belly breaths literally switch your nervous system from being in that fight or flight sympathetic back into the parasympathetic, which is the rest and digest. So, like I said, the breathing is the most important thing you can do in terms of stress reduction, in terms of keeping your digestion healthy. I was just chatting with a patient earlier, we were going through a treatment protocol saying, have you done this? Have you done this? And we got to the breathing. Oh yeah, I haven't done that yet. And I often say to people, I know it seems like something silly. Oh, we breathe every day. But most of us don't breathe correctly, and doing that deep belly breathing, it makes such a difference. I mean, you can feel it when you do it. You feel like this, it's like your anxiety level will get taken down a notch. So this, like I said, it will get blood flow directly into your digestive tract. It will, it will activate, it will turn the body's digestion on, meaning the digestive enzymes will get turned on. It will put you into rest and digest, so your body will be ready to digest the food that you put into it. And this also works well for, if you have a really stressful family situation, do this before you have to encounter said, stressful family member. It will help you cope and deal with things a lot better. So the breathing thing is huge. Exercise, sometimes, during the month of December, in January when I meet with patients, we'll talk about, like, oh, I fell off the wagon. I started eating all this stuff and, I stopped exercising. And this, it's common. I mean, December is a hard month. There's so many things going on. If you're used to exercising daily, it might be hard to keep that up. So what I usually recommend to patients during December or even November and December, if you're used to going to the gym for an hour 3 times a week, it's just, do something for 15 minutes a day. Go for a quick walk. If you've got a dog, go take your dog for a walk. If you've got kids, go take your kids to the park, run around for 15 minutes. Just do something that gets your blood flowing and moving. It doesn't have to be an hour at the gym. If you're someone who does classes, yoga can be amazing for both the mental stress stuff and the physical stuff. And if you make it, to 2 yoga classes in December, that's awesome. It will make a difference. But I think the biggest thing I hear is that, oh, I don't have time to do my regular workout, so I'm just gonna scratch it. The better thing is to say, okay, I don't have the full hour today, but I've got 15 minutes where I can sneak in, I can sneak in a walk, or maybe you don't have to actually go to the gym. I can do some weights at home, or I can do something for 15 minutes that gets the blood flowing. And this will also, if you're someone who every holiday season, you kind of notice the scale creeps up a little bit, 5 or 10 pounds. If you make an effort to, add 15 minutes of some sort of physical exercise into it, it will really make a difference. If you don't have one already, you can get these little activity monitors. I have the Fitbit. It'll tell you how many steps you've taken. It'll remind you to get up and walk every hour, and you can compete with family members. It's a great Christmas gift if you're still looking for a present for someone, or for yourself. So exercise, good. So now we're going to talk about, what time is it? Now we're going to talk about some of the herbs that can be really beneficial for helping with digestion and just bloating in general. So The first one we're going to talk about is ginger. I was going to bring ginger root to show you guys, but I forgot it. So everyone knows what ginger is, but you can buy it in a root at the store, and you can do so many different things with ginger. What it does for your body, it stimulates digestion. So it will do similar to what a digestive enzyme does. It will stimulate the production of hydrochloric acid. It will stimulate the production of pancreatic enzyme. So it helps you digest food. You can get a ginger tea. You can drink ginger tea before you eat or after you eat. It can sometimes help settle the stomach as well. You can eat ginger candy. The great thing about ginger, it also can sometimes help with nausea. So when I'm working with pregnant patients who are feeling a little nauseous, we'll try to add ginger somehow into their protocol. You can actually eat the root. You can use it in cooking. You can, we'll often at home make these green smoothies, and we'll chop off a little piece of ginger and we'll throw it in there, so and it gives it a fun, like, festive kick, the ginger. So, use a little bit. It's pretty strong if you're not a ginger fan. You can also take capsules of ginger if you're not someone who likes to use the herb, or use it in cooking. But usually the best thing with herbs is to use them in a cooking or, in some sort of, like, eating the herb. Capsules are fine, but I tend to find that when you incorporated it into your life in some sort of form where you're eating it or cooking with it, you tend to use it a little more often. So the second herb that is good, is ginger preferable? So I often will, it depends. So I'm answering Jessica's question. Ginger, for some people, it can do the same thing as a digestive enzyme. So I would try it and see what works best for you. I mean, I have patients that will do both. They'll drink the ginger tea and they also take a digestive enzyme. Maybe they're not doing that at every meal, but they have the digestive enzyme for a meal that they know is going to be really heavy, really rich, maybe food that you don't normally eat. And ginger, so I guess I didn't really answer your question that well, but I would try out ginger by itself for you and see how it works, and then try out the digestive enzyme. And if one works better, go with that, or if they kind of work together. Some digestive enzymes contain ginger in them, because as I said, it's beneficial for that. And Jessica, I'd be happy to send you a suggested digestive enzyme if you want. So the next one I'm going to talk about is fennel. And fennel you can also buy at the grocery store. Again, I meant to bring it, but fennel is white and it has like green little sprigs at the top. It is amazing for gas. Fennel is like the best herb if you're having a ton of gas. You can, same thing with fennel, you can eat it. It tastes very good. You can juice it. You can cook with it. You can have fennel tea. A lot of people will use fennel tea. And you can also take fennel in a capsule. So if you're someone who suffers from gas and you feel like everything you eat gives you gas, try taking a little bit of fennel before or even after when you have the gas. It'll really help calm things down. So fennel is really great. And then another one of my favorites for specifically the holiday season is chamomile. Chamomile, I like it because it aids in digestion, but it also has some really nice stress-reducing properties. So it's anti-inflammatory, and it can sometimes help with muscle pain. So chamomile, it's wonderful to do it in a tea or in a capsule. It's kind of hard to find that to eat it. You could eat it. It's a flower. It's a beautiful flower. But so find it in a tea. Chamomile tea can be wonderful. If you've had a really stressful evening and you come home and maybe your gut is a little bit upset and you are having a hard time falling asleep, put a couple chamomile tea bags in some water and drink that. It can really help kind of settle the stomach. Part of what it does is it helps reduce muscle spasms. So if this digestive tract is kind of spasmy, it can reduce that and help you feel a little bit better. And then the last herb I'm going to talk about is peppermint, which is in abundance during this season. There's peppermint everywhere, and peppermint can be really good if you have stomach pain, or so if you're eating something and you've got this pain up here. Sometimes it works well for heartburn. You have to be careful. I've had some patients tell me that the peppermint actually makes their heartburn worse. So you can drink peppermint in a tea. You can take it in a capsule. Another way to use peppermint is if you get a peppermint oil, you can rub it directly on the stomach, and this can kind of sometimes help with indigestion or any stomach pain. So I think there's a reason why, the holidays are kind of associated with, we see candy canes and peppermint. There's peppermint everywhere. I think because, as we've kind of evolved, the holidays tend to be a little bit stressful, and peppermint, you can smell it. It kind of calms you down a little bit, and it helps with your digestive tract. So, if you're going to have some candy, go have a candy cane because that's got some good peppermint in there. And then the last thing I'm going to talk about is apple cider vinegar, which is another really great way. If you're someone who doesn't like taking capsules and you want to get your digestive enzymes from a food or a drink, apple cider vinegar can do that. It has a lot of the digestive enzymes that I talked about in there. It doesn't have hydrochloric acid, but it will have, it has some vinegar, and that vinegar actually stimulates the stomach's production of the hydrochloric acid. So, again, if you're someone that doesn't like taking a supplement, you can use apple cider vinegar in place of that. You can either take a little shot of it, or you can mix it with, I personally don't like the taste of apple cider vinegar, so I will usually mix it with a little bit of honey and a little bit of water, and we'll drink that. My husband, on the other hand, loves apple cider vinegar. He drinks, we go through a giant bottle of it like twice a week. He drinks it like an alcoholic drink with, on the rocks. But it's really great for digestion, not only during the holidays, but, year round. And it, if you get online and Google benefits of apple cider vinegar, it will be, you'll come up with all kinds of interesting answers. I mean, it talks about the health of your hair, the health of your skin, the health of your nails. It's got a ton of benefits. And it, like a kombucha, it actually has probiotics. It has good guy bugs in there. So you're getting, usually a good apple cider vinegar is fermented. So it's a living fermented food. So you're going to be getting that added benefit as well. So I think that's all I wanted to talk about today. If you're struggling with digestive issues that tend to get worse during the holidays, then if there's one take home, it's that belly breathing thing for the stress. It is hugely important. And then, and try adding some of these herbs into your repertoire of either cooking or if you want to take a supplement, take the digestive enzymes or the probiotics. I think you'll really notice a big difference. And obviously, New Year's is, it's a great time for, restarting and starting a new diet, but how great would it be to, in New Year's, you're already feeling physically well. You can, have your New Year's resolutions be something other than trying to lose the 5 or 10 pounds of, holiday bloating that happens. So start now, make some small changes, and the more small changes that you make, they tend to become habits, and when things become habits, then it becomes a lot easier. So again, if anyone has any questions about digestive stuff or any of the things that I've talked about, you can email us at info@kincare.com or give us a call. Numbers on our website, and I do free 15-minute consults. So if you want to talk, or if you want to talk about whether naturopathic medicine is right for you, happy to talk to you about it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we're going to start doing videos every week on Tuesday. So if you guys have a topic that you want me to talk about, please email to me and say, hey, I really am interested in this. Could you give a talk about this? So thanks again. Love talking to you guys. Take care.